Down, 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 down. Welcome to the news. Stay to the end to find out how we get there. So, today we're talking about ethos shifting. Ethos shifting to change the context of business products. The contextualization of taking existing items and shifting the ethos to be able to develop new items, new products, new development, a new spirit, a new core, a new sort of routine to try to shift the context of existing given business processes and shifting them into the future for a new spirit, more or less, like cleansing the spirit of existing items and processes by stacking and also compounding old meanings, old context to be able to develop like a new product based upon ethos stacking, like ethos stacking to be able to develop a new item, a new process, like taking a cake and adding another cake to it to call it a new cake, taking new layers of old layers and developing basically a new cake, kind of. And so anyway, the concept is regarding like a different style of social media posting. It's like taking the context of social media posting and like taking the context of what social media posting is in general and shifting that into like a new world element of social media posting, like that corresponds to like greetings and such things in real life. That's changing the context of like the ethos of the idea of something and shifting it into like a new world application after all. And that also corresponds to a way of trying to develop marketing, like for example the ethos again of posting on social media to change into real life games, in real life greetings, like in flash mobs where people have indications and indicators where they dance with each other in the streets. But in essence, if people have like little signals and give people little flicks and signals of certain things, like in real life as it is now, like updating and enhancing the cognition of like philanthropy and philanthropy energy and a global good deeds economy, when there's flicks and signals and dynamics of a new communication style and signal, it changes the ethos of the dynamic of communication styles, so to speak. Like I think that sometimes it can bring it into a realm of a more politeness, a more polite realm, a more like pleasing element of like added politeness in terms of conversation and communication, developing the ethos around global good deeds, a global good deeds economy, so that in essence where you're playing games with people, you're engaging with people in playing games that correspond to a global good deeds economy. It changes the ethos of communication so we can update our communication and have fun, like on the streets, for example, or be able to like having a soccer ball on the street. It's changing the dynamic and the ethos of society and the context into changing the outdoors into a soccer game, for example. And so that's the same in business, where in essence you can take the context of messaging and be able to invent new products by in essence changing the ethos and developing a new marketing strategy by positioning and posting on things that correspond to a different audience, more or less. Reinventing the product by reinventing the ethos, reinventing the spirit, reinventing the context, reinventing the purpose, changing like an egg beater, for example, and taking an egg whisker, something that you whisk eggs with or that you whisk, your food with, for example, and changing that into something that corresponds to like earrings and just making whisking earrings, for example. That's a little audacious and a little nuts in terms of having ginormous earrings that are whisk based, but I mean you might have to decorate them a little bit and dye them into a different material, metallic color, but that could become trending. It's a joke to an extent, but it's just about changing the dynamic and the ethos of a given product's purpose, changing the purpose of a product, and that corresponds again to the global good deeds economy and developing goals around the essence of marketing in of itself, like to shift the dynamic, to find better ways to be able to create new applications from old world items and the way that we do everything in life to creating a new context by developing additive features and additive structures so that we in essence can compile an old world and then make like old layers from an old cake and then add new layers to it, like combining old cake with new cake, more or less, and then it's just a brand new flavor. It's a brand new context because the ethos has shifted into a new world where we've added the layers on top of the old cake to where we have a good foundation. It's tasty, it's a good nice process and routine, but once we add the right layers and top level and foundation on top, it becomes more delectable, more delightful, and it's like adding your favorite layers of ice cream toppings on top of a cake, if you will, like in draping it with your favorite candies, if you will, to be able to develop the optimum optimization in terms of an experience, if you possibly can, because you may as well if you have that ability. And that's sort of what this podcast also really relates to and is about, is trying to develop what's conceptually there and available to try to add those layers of sort of toppings and frostings on top of the existing flow that we're working with. So in essence, we're trying to take additives to be able to recontextualize the messages and reinvent products, in essence, by reinventing marketing more or less, and then developing a new essence of spiritual finance, developing a new essence of philanthropy energy, and developing a new essence of business music by reinventing context, by stacking, in essence, ethos stacking, taking the spirits of old items and stacking the ethos of old spirits, of context, of old processes, old products, old conceptualizations, to develop new experiences based on the global interest and outcome conceptualization of old communication, and adding more of a polite feature, a feature of identifying conceptualizations, regarding politeness, and developing new gestures to be able to indicate politeness games, ways to indicate items that correspond to connection, human connection, and sort of flick like a soccer ball into the fabric of life and society and outdoor in real life, taking that context of a soccer ball and adding it into society, so people just start to play with each other, but having those types of indications, which are indicators to try to play with each other, and other types of games that are added on top of those types of games to be able to play more societal games, like bringing a soccer ball into society and weaving it into the fabric of society, into outdoor life, like just in general in life, more games that people can play with each other on the streets. For example, that's a communication tool to be able to incite and instigate an essence and an element of politeness, because when you're playing a game, you have to be in line, you have to be disciplined, you've got to keep your hand-eye coordination in place and intact, and you've also got to be able to watch out for traffic and try to look out for optimizing an essence of fun. So it's trying to stack the mindsets here to be able to also connect that concept of like marketing any given business product or process, developing new additions to tools that like can be new functionalities for a given business process that's being sold, or a business product that's being sold, for example, and stacking on top of it new layers, new dynamics, which also is reaching new audiences and adding new functionalities to the core product and process of the business in of itself. So it's both adding value to the product and it's adding value to the audience and the marketing by accessing new audiences, in essence, that correspond to trying to bring more people in together, to have more people play together, which is the essence of the ethos stacking concept of having people play outdoor games together more so in an aligned fashion, which also corresponds to a global good deeds economy, because people are hopefully in a good good mood from playing global games, and global good deeds being the dynamic that sort of is the backside for trying to start and sort of impart outdoor games sort of in regular day-to-day activities, to also inspire more global giving by giving back to society through having things such as games take place in society to be able to innately cause fun, which in essence is like philanthropy in of itself, even if there are just games like being played such as sports. But in addition, it causes a mindset that allows more people to feel like it's accessible and more dynamically inclusive if it's outside and on the street. So this is just like taking the essence of sports, the essence of games, the essence of philanthropy, the essence of music, and combining that with business as business music, aka philanthropy, and then philanthropy energy, and then a global good deeds economy, and then a global philanthropy energy grid. And at the same time, we're inventing new products, and we're inventing a new world, and we're reinventing marketing at the same time, because it causes us to dynamically lift and shift our processes from the old world, where it's just kind of somewhat boring to just try to get people to buy stuff because it's just for the sake of buying it, so that companies can continue to revolve and spin and churn based on monetary energy that has been stagnant within a process of a circle and a cycle of old school, old world companies, and trying to shift that into new dynamic, new innovative mindset world companies to be able to innovate the concept of the future of our world, to be able to shift that into the direction of games, to be able to inherently shift the context of all marketing, to be able to shift the ethos by ethos stacking the context of past marketing methodologies, to be able to access new audiences by illuminating and enlightening the potential for new marketing, to be able to reach more people by adding the essence of play, adding the element of play to be able to make new products, in essence, similar to this company, this brand called Clip. Clip is like an addition to bicycles, for example, that makes all regular normal bicycles electrified bicycles, and they have like a little battery on the front of them that you can just attach to the front. It's called Clip. It's a New York-based company. Google them to check it out, just because it's kind of cool. It makes any existing bike into an electric bicycle, and that sort of addition, by stacking the functionalities on top of each other and accessing new audiences, because you can make electric vehicles out of other things other than just bicycles also by having that functionality, and it's stacking the vibes to be able to make more play occur and more interesting items happen by developing that device that they made, which is Clip, the bicycle attachment feature. Interesting concept that I also resurfaced and looked at and researched a little bit tonight at the same time. So nonetheless, by recontextualizing and opening the mind, then recontextualizing and accessing new audiences and new fields of marketing by reinventing products by ethos stacking is the concept and the core considerate thought tonight for the podcast, if you will. And that's all for now. Thanks again. Dinky T, Change for Games, Dinky Tech, and Change for Games Studios. Bye, peace, bye. And let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's push for world peace every single day. And also, let's remember to try to clear the animal shelters. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world, because we can foster all the shelter animals. We can adopt all the shelter animals in the world. We can rescue all the shelter animals in the world. And we can also hire the shelter animals as healers. We can also hire the shelter animals as healers all throughout the world, so that they don't have to be mistreated in animal shelters. And we can clear the animal shelters, and we can hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities. Hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities, because they also work for free, and they could use better purpose and use better jobs and be able to add value and be therapeutic energy for humans and humanity, to help us be more harmonious as humans and among humanity for all the animals in the world, to clear all the animal shelters, to try to get them to transition their energy in terms of therapeutic energy to all humans, so we can clear the animal shelters to add value to humanity in terms of harmony if possible. And let's push for world peace every single day and clear the animal shelters every day. That's all for now. Thanks again. Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.